Thanks, Tony. Okay, so the next guy talking is easily one of the greatest human beings in the world that I know. And I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I'd like you all to put your hands together for Richie.
Thanks, boy. Thanks, boy.
A little louder, boss.
Can you hear me? What? How's that? Better. How's that?
Louder.
How's that?
Louder.
What?
Too loud.
Like that? No.
Talk into the mic. I can. Sure. It's a great honor to be here today, celebrating the union of Emily and Kris with so many family and friends. A special note of appreciation is extended to the bridesmaids in supporting both Emily and Kris over the past months. You all look absolutely fantastic today. Thank you for being such great friends to both of us. Kris Green. What can I say about this great and charismatic man? 5-minute background. Kris and I have known each other for over 15 years. We met during our first year at the University of Western Ontario, living on the same floor of soggy Maitland Hall, also known as the Zoo. I was starting university 1 year later than usual. Kris was starting university 1 year earlier than usual. I was studying history and English. Kris was studying computer science and math. This not only proves that opposites attract, however, starts to tell you the story of Kris's constant drive to succeed. Kris's ability to succeed and overachieve carries on into both his personal and professional lives. Throughout our university years, I had the privilege of watching Kris develop into the shrewd businessman he's become today. Whether it was completing someone else's computer science paper for a case of Labatt's Blue, working out theories on how to beat Don Cherry and Proline, or simply selling people on the fact that an end at the pub would be much more rewarding than completing a 5,000-word history essay to do the next day, Kris has always been a born salesman and a verified closer. Kris's success in his professional life working with IBM and building the border-free business was no accident. It is a mix of unending passion, commitment, and overall smarts. Throughout his constant professional success, Kris has always remained a true and loyal friend. There's not an event I can think of, be it a birthday, wedding, bachelor party, or anniversary, that he will not willingly be part of, or better yet, take part in planning. Kris truly knows the value of relationships and of family. Legacies are built in the home, not in the boardroom. I cannot think of a time when these principles were ever in question. Establishing clear priorities is one of the many qualities that I admire in Kris. Over the years, Kris has been a huge supporter of me personally. A true friend tells it like it is, and Kris regularly does this, sometimes to my chagrin. I know that Kris approves of an idea when he excitedly jumps on board and talks at length about any particular thought. He's against an idea when I receive a no-look, one-word answer, rarely subtle, yet highly effective. In the confusing and often difficult path leading out of school into the real world, there were times when Kris helped push me forward, and I thank him for this. However, there have also been times where I've helped to carry Kris, literally, along his path to success. One instance that comes to mind is during a New Year's celebration a few years back. Many of us here tonight were at that celebration on College Street in Toronto at a little club called the Lava Lounge. Kris had done a wonderful job in organizing entrance for about 20 of us. However, as the night wore on, he looked to be getting a little woozy. Around 11 p.m., he pulled me aside and mumbled, "Richie, I think that somebody slipped me a roofie." You have to understand that this establishment had an attractive clientele. I looked around and asked Kris which supermodel he thought stood the roofie in the as he was obviously playing hard to get that. It didn't matter. The next moment I saw beads of sweat forming on his brow and his legs started to buckle. Over my shoulder he went, and we went home by 11:30. By 11:32, Kris was sound asleep, and while our friends brought in the New Year at the Lava Lounge, I sat alone listening as Kris snored while watching the Guess Who play a live New Year show in Ginley, Manitoba. sabbatical out in Toronto known as the Left Bank. Kris had met up with an old chum from high school that night, and apparently that friend has a grip that could crack a walnut. Midway through the evening, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and there was Kris, who simply said, "You're not going to believe this." He showed me his ring finger, which looked like a...
Thank you, Spencer Gill.
That looked like a zigzag lightning bolt. Apparently his school chum became a little overexcited and squeezed Kris's hand too hard during their handshake. I got a little nervous when I heard about the receiving line. I thought if Uncle Mickey gets too excited. Again, a little bit of sweat started to form on his brow. Tried to prop him up against the chair, however, to no avail. Down he went again. This time he quickly pulled over a bouncer in the very crowded bar, and this group of complete strangers cleared a pathway. Up went Kris over the bouncer's shoulder, and outside he was carried. After 5 hours in the emergency room waiting for his finger to be reset, we made it out just in time for breakfast. One final and probably the most memorable instance of Kris being carried was during our first visit to Prague in the Czech Republic. A few of us had traveled to Oktoberfest in Munich in 2001 and had decided to extend our trip outside of the beer festival. Our second night in the Czech Republic found us in an Irish pub, of all places. The night started with 5 Canadians. We were then joined by 3 Germans, 3 Irishmen, a couple of Danes, and then some Americans. Soon enough, we were politely asked to leave the establishment. We all stumbled out like a bunch of 6th grade schoolboys and started piggybacking each other down Prague's historic town square. Midway down, I looked left as my legs were wrapped around the waist of a 245-pound man with both hands in my ear. And there was Kris, smiling right back at me as he whipped the ass of a 110-pound Irishman. We began to laugh and cheer, knowing that this sort of camaraderie was the reason why we traveled so far. I'll never forget. Over 15 Super Bowls, trips throughout the globe, countless successes, and yes, a few failures. Kris has been the very best of friends. I look forward to celebrating all of his achievements over the next 15 years. Em, you're marrying one heck of a guy, and he's marrying a woman who's made him happier in life than I could have ever imagined. Thank you for being such a kind and loving person. So I'd ask you all to raise a glass to the bride and groom. Kris and Emily, may you cherish each other and the happiness you have found, and enjoy the many days to come as you will never walk alone again.
All right. Everybody put their hands together. The big couple, Kris and Em.